I'm in Emeryville, California, across the bay from San Francisco. I have my Canon 5D Mark II pointed directly towards the city of San Francisco and the Golden Gate Bridge across the bay. Uh, there's really tough conditions with the bright sun through the patchy high clouds like this. So I'm going to try and do an auto ramp with neutral density filters, but it's so bright I can't set the aperture to f2.8. I have to start out at f5.6. I'm shooting for a target luminance of 110. Right now with this scene, we're getting around 110. I'll let AutoRamp adjust the aperture from 5.6 down to 2.8 and adjust the ISO from 100 where it is right now up to 3200. And I'm going to shift the aperture when the bulb time gets to be about 2 seconds. Let the bulb time get up to 30 seconds, never less than a tenth of a second. And I have my 3 ND filters attached right now. I'll remove these after the sun sets, as the scene gets darker. I'm using sunrise sunset compensation for this location right now. I've got the location set to the coordinates of San Francisco. So sunset's around 6:30 tonight. So over the course of a half an hour, right after sunset, I'll have to remove those 3 filters as it gets darker. In project settings, under the AutoRamp tab, I've dialed the sensitivity down to 0.33. Normally it's about 0.5. I don't want it to respond as quickly to changes in the light from the sun going through the clouds. And I'm using lens f-stop correction for this lens, 1635. I have it set at 24 millimeters. So here's the table for that setting. Because I have to shift from f5.6 down to f2.8, I need this correction table to make sure I don't get any changes in brightness. So it seems to be running okay now, and we'll just wait till sunsets when I have to remove filters. Notice I have the shift, AV, and ISO time set to 2 seconds. So when the bulb time gets up to 2 seconds, it'll change the aperture. Once the aperture gets down to f2.8, I'll increase this up to 16 or more seconds because I'll need 8 seconds of bulb time in order to remove a filter and have the reciprocity switch the bulb time back down to 1 second. I've got the minimum shift time set to 1 second, so it won't adjust back to a higher f number. Okay, the aperture is down to f2.8, so I'm going to increase the shift time up to 16 seconds because I don't want the ISO to shift until after I've removed all the filters. I need to remove a filter whenever the bulb time gets up to 8 seconds. That way a 3-stop filter removal will knock the bulb time down to 1 second. So we're at f2.8 now. I'll turn off AV adjustment so I won't try to change it any further, and we'll go on ahead as the sun is setting. Okay, as soon as the bulb time gets up to 8 seconds, I will uncheck this 3rd filter and remove it. I'll listen for when the bulb exposure starts, and then I'll check the filter. I don't want to uncheck the filter before the bulb exposure starts because it'll cause it to wait. Okay, next time it'll be over 8 seconds, so after the bulb exposure starts, I'll uncheck the box. The filter is removed, and the bulb time went from over 8 seconds to down to 1 second. That's a 3-stop change. So now I'll wait for the bulb exposure to get up to 8 seconds again before I remove the 2nd filter. So now the bulb exposure time's back down to around 1 second. And I'll wait till it gets to 8 seconds again before I remove the 3rd filter. Okay, the bulb time is over 8 seconds, so next time the shutter opens, I'll uncheck this filter. Okay, the 3rd and last filter has been removed, so now I'll just let this run until a couple hours after sunset before I turn it off. It's about an hour and a half after sunset now, and it hasn't gotten very dark. There is a lot of light from the Port of Oakland here and the Bay Bridge. You can barely see the lights of the city over here. But this light is shining up on the clouds and making a very bright image. So I don't think we're going to be able to see the stars tonight. It's just not going to get dark enough with all this light. Maybe if the clouds break. So I'm going to let it run for a while, and then later I'll show you the resulting video. Okay, it's the next morning, and as the sun is coming up and the sky is getting brighter, I'm reversing the process and adding filters. I've already added the first filter. It was about 15 minutes ago, and now I'm getting ready to add the second one. When the bulb time gets down close to 1 second, I'll check the box for the second filter and put it on. So the filter's 3 stops. So when after I add the filter, the bulb exposure time will increase by a factor of 8. Okay, it's getting close to 1 second, so I'll do it next time. Here we go. It takes a little bit longer to add a filter than it does to remove, because you have to line the threads, but looks like it worked out okay. So I'm not going to go through the process of showing you how to add the third filter. You've seen how to do it. So I'll do the same thing in about 10 minutes and just let this go until a couple hours after sunrise. After I add the third filter, I'll check the Adjust AV box and let it adjust the aperture to something smaller than f2.8 if it needs to later after the sun comes up.